Okay.
Quick. Seen yet. You did not see the tweet earlier.
We're gonna go through it.
Okay. Let's listen. What are we on? We're on top?
I'll say this list to me. He puts Renekton in S tier though.
Fuck. Fuck. Everyone's gonna freak out about Renekton being an S. Everyone's gonna freak out, dude. Everyone's gonna freak out.
To me, it's just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but Renekton's in S tier, so that's a win. Guess a good jungle.
That's a win.
I
True.
know I could listen to his reasoning, but I'm just gonna look at it, what I see. We're gonna go through it
fuck.
real quick.
Seen yet. You did not see the tweet earlier.
What did I do? What did I do?
Every patch LS has Fiddlesticks, Karthus, Ivern in S tier, and Udyr in S tier. Every patch, every single patch.
Every single patch. True.
He fucking loves those champs. I have not seen it. I can't remember any of his things where Fiddle, Karthus, Ivern, Udyr in S tier because of
True.
Normally he has Shyvana up here, doesn't he? Where did he put Shyvana? Oh, B tier. He thinks Vi is C tier? Vi is so fucking strong. Oh, but this is 13.3. But I don't know what the changes are for 13.3. Mumu in don't tier? Yo, Spica.
No, I moved it. I moved to Mumu. I
don't know. I'm going off current patch, so I don't know what's changing in jungle. Because they said they're going to do something to early game ganking. So maybe this is related to that. I don't know what they're actually doing. They said they're nerfing early game ganking. But you can put Lee Sin in F tier until the buffs. Taric jungle. This is competitive tier list, so yeah, Diana being don't tier is kind of okay. Depends if you have Yasuo or you have Yasuo angle. Mid lane, Tristana is S tier. He's still preaching Ivern mid. This one doesn't look that bad. Just some of these champs in here I just don't think are... Like, it's a competitive tier list, and some of the champs that I'm seeing in the tier list cannot be picked in competitive. They just can't.
I don't know which ones he's referring to. But I do say that some of them are hyper niche.
You know, you're under your tower losing every Drake. Like,
wait, what did he say?
Game. Taric jungle, your bot lane is being dove so many times that they're gonna be in a fucking Grand Canyon in competitive.
What did he say?
Like, Vladimir mid in competitive, you know, you're under your tower losing every Drake. Like, unplayable game. Taric jungle, your bot lane is being dove so many times that they're gonna be in a fucking Grand Canyon.
Taric jungle's really good.
Like,
Taric jungle has really fast clear speed.
Like, Vayne top in competitive. Are you fucking... Like, that champ is so situational. Like, this Vayne... I'll take Vayne, for example. You know how situational that champ is? Vayne top can work in, like... 1 to 5% of scenarios. Maybe if they have, like, Sion top, Olaf jungle... and a low CC mid that doesn't have much range, like...
I agree.
Low CC. See your take on all 5 roles.
I don't know why I'm thinking of Ryze right now, but we'll say Ryze, or LeBlanc's a bit hard. Let's just say Ryze. It's fine. If they have something like this and like a...
I agree with what he's saying, by the way.
Then yeah, Vayne can be played. You know?
Which is what me and Drew talked about.
Ziggs, Jace, Nami. No, it can't.
No,
can you play
can't play
Lucian,
Vayne.
Yumi?
Right.
Irelia? No, it can't. So like that's the problem I have with some of these champs, because I feel like a lot of these champs are really situational, and you can't just pick them. You know?
Yes, I agree.
That's why I think sometimes in tier lists there's like blind pick champs, and then there's like counter pick champs which have situational advantages. Like let's say Renekton is an S tier champ. Yes, it is. Renekton is an S tier champ. I agree. Okay.
I agree with him.
And they have Gragas.
I agree with him, and that tier list could be more accurate if you make like blind pick and counter pick and like all these other things. But the problem is that those videos would like they would require someone to listen to everything. And I understand that a lot of people will like misconstrue like this tier list, because like he himself said that he didn't listen to any of the reasonings. But also like the conversation with Drew to it and stuff. Going over like the ADCs and stuff. Vayne is just going to be the best ADC that you can pick in top lane to punish certain matchups. She just is going to be the best. I mean, Tristana maybe, but like the situation that he listed, like Vayne being hyper conditional, it is true, but that doesn't have to do with her power level relative to other champions when like conditions are met, because when her power level is really fucking high. Yeah, I don't know.
For example, then Renekton then becomes like an A tier champ / B because it's countered in a way, right? Do you get what I'm saying? But the problem I have is S tier to me sounds like a champ that can be used as a blind pick and it can be used as a counter pick. S tier is like first pick champ in my head. Like first pick.
Okay.
Well, not first pick, first rotation, let's say, because there's not many top laners at the first pick. But so for me, this and this and this and this and this and this and this are not first pick, first rotation, top lane champ flexible. Like Renekton, Jax, Fiora, I think, yeah.
I agree with everything you just
some
said.
of these champs in competitive just can't work. Like Vladimir top in competitive, you know, it just gets fucked. This champ just gets fucked. You have no herald fights, no dive pressure, no stacking waves top. Like Twitch top. I mean, Twitch top maybe is fine if it's a melee. Like again, if you're against like a melee champ and you take like Ignite and you can do something level 1, like invade or like try to threaten something.
Well, you do roaming
something
Twitch.
There, you know, but
roaming Twitch.
I
roaming
just struggle
Twitch.
to see the value of these top.
He's not saying anything that I disagree with.
It's insane in solo queue, but like in competitive, I think it. Druid was like Zeri, Samira, Twitch up here in A tier. So Druid was like, yeah, dude, I played him in solo queue, it's broken, and it's like, yeah, and Druid is sick in solo queue. Don't get me wrong, he's fucking insane in solo queue. But like in competitive,
okay. So it seems like the main problem is all right. So Caedrel already admitted that he doesn't listen to any of the reasonings, right? But the tier list is all encompassing. So it's all encompassing, but it's relative to champion power level, which is what I explained, I think, in like the first 2 or 3 minutes of the video, which is fine. I'm not disagreeing with actually anything that he's saying. Legitimately, I completely agree with everything that he just said about those champions. But the way that I make the tier lists is a perception of the champion's current power levels relative to surrounding champions. So, like, yes, what he said about Renekton, if Renekton's blind picked, he ends up being worse if he ends up getting countered by, like, Gragas, right? Things like that, right? Yes, he's absolutely right that you cannot blind Vayne top, right? You're not going to blind Rumble top lane. You're not going to necessarily blind Sion top lane, although I do think that Sion is like the best top laner in the game, etc., right? So everything he's saying I totally agree with, right? But that's not the way that the tier list is designed. So I think like that's where the difference is. So he said that his definition of an S tier champion is a champion that can always be blind picked, and that it's a champion that you would pick first, and so it has really high priority, right? I say at the very beginning of the video that I'm not going to make that list this time around. I did do it for Worlds, and that I acknowledge that this is a very different perception that people would have, and that they want Z, S, A, B, and C, etc. to be the order in which a champion can be blind picked relative to its power level. And I specifically say in the very first few minutes of the video that that's not what I'm going to be making, and that I did do that for Worlds, but that it takes a lot more time, and it doesn't seem like people bother to listen to both sides of the explanation, so I didn't feel like there's any point in doing it. The main point for me making these tier lists is because what ends up happening is a lot of pro players will message me either about the tier list, like on Discord or on Twitter or something like that, where they might see something and get reminded about something, or they might go out and try something, and it provides value for them in that regard. And so that's my whole reason for the tier list. But nothing that he has said up until this point do I disagree with. Well, actually, maybe he said Vi is really good. I don't think Vi is really good. I think even in her current popularity, I don't think Vi is very good.
Like it just doesn't work, you know.
What he's talking about right now with Samira and Zeri, I also agree. I think that they have to be really specific response picks, but that you get access to their power, right? In certain response picks. All right, does he move on?
AD carry.
ADC was made with Crowny.
Karthus, Rengar, Z tier. Senna. Zaya. Rengar, Ivern. Yeah.
Oh, someone told him Rengar, Ivern.
It's like... It's a classic, yeah.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. But isn't Rengar... Rengar Ivern just feels weak because you need levels on Rengar, I think, don't you? You need so much XP. Maybe Iron can roam around a bit, I guess. After level 4, come back at 6, maybe? I don't know. And then Rengar can solo play side lanes. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
Rengar Ivern's hard to understand if you haven't seen it, I think. That's fine. So anyways, for people that don't know, the 80s carry list was probably the most like talked about with the person that helped make the list, right? Me and Crowny, I think it was like 40 minutes. I think me and Crowny, I mean, I have the video on my desktop, but me and Crowny spent like 40 minutes making the 80 carry list, talking about everything. So Crowny, like Rengar Ivern's really weird. Karthus, I mean, the explanation is probably necessary for Karthus, but
I mean, he probably has a lot of context in a lot of these things that he's breaking down. So I'm maybe missing out his arguments, but I'm just looking at this because I can't sit here for 30 minutes on stream watching this.
Right.
So I'm just glossing over a lot of it. Jin and Don't tier, I couldn't agree more. Honestly,
Thank you.
If there's anything we're going to agree on, Mr. LS, and the way we see the game, this is chef's kiss. Jin, absolute dog.
Beautiful.
Completely agree. Absolutely useless. Lucian, now this is probably after the nerfs of Lucian.
This is 13.3. Yep.
So I'm not sure if it's correct or not, because I don't know how big the nerfs are.
Okay. What else does he say? Does he go to support or what?
Just do support quickly. No. He is convinced that Zoe support is OP. I just think it's like, if this was solo queue tier list, there's a lot of champions here which I could make arguments for. Like Janna in solo queue is really good. Janna in solo queue, pretty OP. Sona in solo queue can be good, yeah. Xerath in solo queue, good.
Xerath's really good, yeah.
But
the problem is that most support players that play Xerath can't play him.
I just don't see it. I can't see it. Maybe I'm blind, but if these champs get picked, they just don't offer anything in like the way the game's played. And the game is has a lot less variables.
What's wrong with Zoe? Wait, what is wrong with Zoe? So Zoe apparently has popped up quite a bit in Champions Queue EU. I don't know what he's struggling to see with Zoe. I can understand like Sona because it seems like it is the knee-jerk reaction on Sona. Xerath I can also understand because support players can't play Xerath. But I think like if you watch like Nemesis play Xerath support or something, it's really like if you watch like a mid laner go bot and play Xerath support, or you watch like an elite level support player play like Xerath. I mean, Xerath actually was getting played a lot last year on Korean solo queue as support versus like everyone, but he just never came out. Janna, I don't know why he thinks Janna is bad. There's Kasanti, there's Wukong, there's Sejuani, there's Vi, there's like a million champions that she just stifles. And also this is 13.3, so I think based on like how he's talking in the video, I think he doesn't know the 13.3 changes with a lot of the melee champions. I don't think he knows that all the melee supports are like buffed and that they're likely to make a return. But that's fine.
In pro play then doesn't in solo queue. And in solo queue, those variables can be swayed in your favor.
We're probably almost in draft, by the way.
The game is way more formulate, structured. And
yes,
for champions to fit in this structure, they have to meet criterias. Okay? And if it doesn't meet the criterias, like Zoe support.
So the thing is, what he's saying right here is that solo queue and competitive is a lot more structured, right, in general. So players are much more in control of things, and so there's less chaos, which I acknowledge and I talk about in the video, because otherwise, if I wasn't acknowledging that, then LeBlanc would be higher. LeBlanc's support in the hands of like really good LeBlanc support players is really broken in solo queue, right? Pantheon would be much higher, especially after the changes inside of solo queue. I already acknowledge all of these things. The only issue, I guess, is that he's not like listening to what I'm saying in the video, which is fine. Doesn't know the 13.3 changes, which is fine. But so many of the things that he said in the video, I totally agree with. But the context is really important. And then also the stuff that I said at the very beginning of the stream, which is the way that the video is made and the way that the tier list is designed. And that it acknowledges that some of these champions cannot be blind picked. So it's fine. Anyways, let's go into the next game. I mean, I had fun reacting to it. I don't actually disagree with him that much.